All right, so welcome to 60 Seconds to Success with Travel Boom and Remington Hospitality. I'm Pete Tamayo with Travel Boom, and today we have a very special guest, Mauri Berry of Remington Hospitality, and she's agreed to get into the hot seat and has just 60 seconds to share a tip or a trick. Now, if you don't know what 60 Seconds to Success is, it is just that. Imagine yourself in an elevator and you have 1 minute to share something that's going to revolutionize a fellow hotelier's marketing. So it's not much time. That's just for the tip. And then afterward, we can sit around and talk about it. But do you think you're up for this challenge?
I am down for that. Bring it on.
All right. So when you hear the clock start, that's the 60-second timer. And here we go.
All right, 60 seconds. So my advice to a hotelier and really the context of our discussion today is all around what it takes to really live and breathe your brand story, your brand narrative, your brand strategy and positioning, and to really create that leverageable point of difference in your marketplace and in our marketplace, and how you set yourself up to be a memorable differentiator in the space. And really, for me, from a brand and a culture standpoint, it really begins and ends with the associate, and it touches all other key stakeholders and constituents along the way. So if you as a brand or a hotelier really live and breathe that culture, and you want to pull through your brand, it really starts with the associate. It's engaging with the associate and really.
Oh, you're fine. You can keep going.
That was a fast 60 seconds. So really leaning into and leveraging your story and bringing it to life from the perspective of the associate, because once you do that, they will do that for the guest. They will do that through the product. They will do that through the service. And really, again, beginning and ending with the associate is the key to the differentiating success from a brand standpoint.
And you know what? I think we didn't set you up for success, because that is a phenomenal tip. That's a 90 seconds to success. And,
yeah.
and I would have stayed in the elevator and listened.
Sorry.
No. It's a great point.
On a topic like that, and I'm gonna go there.
So I guess your motto is "Where passionate people thrive." Is motto the right word for it?
Yeah, you can call it that. We call it a value proposition, or it could be a mantra. It could be our brand ethos. It all sort of means the same thing. So Remington Hospitality is the place where passionate people thrive. And again, as I mentioned before, it really starts and ends at the associate, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've got happy, engaged associates who feel heard, who feel like they also have a voice. And then they deliver on the brand promise through every touch point across every audience. So with engaged associates, you have engaged hotel guests, you have engaged and satisfied hotel owners, you've got engaged and satisfied brand partners and vendors. And really, again, just really beginning and ending with the associate to pull through and really live that culture and that brand is the most direct path to success.
Oh, I love this so much. So for our LinkedIn viewers and our YouTube listeners or watchers who are just kind of tuning in for the 60 seconds, they really need to go check out the full podcast at travelboommarketing.com/podcast and check on episode 241. But before we let those folks go, it's what you're saying sounds phenomenal. It sounds required, I would say. But how do you do that in a world where we're short-staffed, we're struggling? Obviously, you just did a rebranding. What's a tip that we can kind of pass along to the viewers that might miss if we're doing the audio podcast later? How can they implement something like this on a smaller scale than you have?
Well, I mean, it's really not rocket science, right? It's living and breathing and being it day in and day out. So, from an associate standpoint, it's talking about it in daily stand-up. It's talking about it and using the right language to a guest at check-in. It's really permeating that brand ethos through every guest and associate touch point. So whether it's the way that a guest is greeted at the bar, or the way that a sommelier makes the suggestion for a perfect wine pairing, or a massage therapist in the spa recommends a specific treatment based on getting to know the guest. It's really engaging and being very intuitive and listening and leaning into that guest, and really pulling through whatever that brand ethos is.
Interesting. It's very exciting. So I think that's a phenomenal 60 seconds. So, I say our audience, what you should be doing is making some notes, understanding that it all starts with the guest. Nobody's going to stay at a sign on the wall that says the name of your property. They're going to go to what a true innkeeper delivers, an amazing personalized experience, and getting everybody on the same page is of paramount importance. So, as we're recording this, it's right at halfway through the year. So this is a perfect thing to think about implementing for the remainder of the year. And if not that, putting in some real solid plans for 2024. So with that being said, that's going to wrap up 60 Seconds to Success. Like I said, if you're listening on LinkedIn or YouTube, jump on over to listen to the full podcast at travelboommarketing.com/podcast. This is episode 241. From there, if you want to subscribe on your favorite iTunes app or podcast app, that's fantastic. But either way, check it out. We're going to go ahead and say goodbye to our YouTube and LinkedIn friends, and we're going to go on with the rest of the podcast, where we're really going to understand everything that an independent hotelier needs to do to survive and thrive in a very, very complex world. So here we go. We're going to switch back over to the regular old podcast.